So my name is Karen Noble. I've been with Applied ABC since April of 2020. I was doing in-home therapy in Maryland for a while, and now I've more so transitioned into the Silver Spring Center. So if you do have any kiddos here, hopefully I will be able to see you all around. Today we're talking about increasing positive mealtime behaviors. I have two children. I know that this can be a very stressful time, especially if it's at the end of the day. It's been a long day, we're all trying to sit down, have some quality meal time together. Chances are, if you are a parent, and you all are, that, you've dealt with a lot of challenging behaviors during that time. I know I have. So today we're going to talk about how can we use some of the behavior analytic principles that you all have probably spoken about with your BCBAs and apply them to try to create more positive meal times for each other. Does anyone have any questions before we start? And I will try to make this a little bit interactive. So if anybody wants to participate, that would be great. If you don't, that's okay too. I hope that you can take this feedback in. Also, I do have a PowerPoint for today. So if anybody wants that PowerPoint afterwards, please just put your email into the chat and I can get that to you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And again, if anybody has a question at any time, please feel free to speak up, put your hand out. I will do my best to navigate this. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Once again, can everyone see my screen? If you can give a hands up or a thumbs up, hands up, a hand up or a thumb up, that would be great. Okay, awesome. Got some hands. Okay. So before we get into the nitty-gritty for today, I want you all to just think about what is a food that you do not like. Maybe it's something that you have never tried before and you're just saying, I know I don't ever want to try this. Maybe it's something that you have tried and you know that you never want to try it again. So I want you to think about that. If anybody wants to type it in or share whatever it is, that would be great. And then I also want you to think about kind of what kind of emotions or sensations in your body does either seeing that food, smelling that food, thinking about it, what kind of feelings, emotions, behaviors does that elicit for you? And I'll give you all a moment to think about it. And then again, if anyone wants to share, that would be great. Chocolate, okay. Anybody else? Black licorice, yeah. I know for me, it's ham. The pink color kind of freaks me out. And so I just kind of avoid it at all costs at this point. So the next thing I want you all to think about is there anything that could make you want to eat it? Would it be money? Could it be promising a fancy dessert afterwards or a movie or take one bite, you never have to eat it again? Is there anything that would make you want to eat it? If you would like to share, that would be great as well. Or if the answer is just no, that is also great. Tolerate the flavor. Just mixing with caramel. Okay, so some things at times, if we pair it with something else, then that makes it a little bit more enjoyable. Yeah. Okay. Um, so yeah, I know a lot of times with my kids, like I said, it's the end of the day. I'm desperate. I need them to eat something. I might say, okay, well, first you're going to eat this, or I need you to just try it because you're probably going to like it. You're just in one of those moods where you don't want something today. I know you like it or you might like it. Please just try it and I'm going to give you XYZ. Then we're going to get a really fancy dessert. Or then I'm going to put a movie on for you after dinner. However, during that time, I'm ignoring my children's, their ability to say, no, I do not want this. It's the same with us. You know that if you really do not like this food, Ham, I probably would eat it. I don't love it, but I probably would. Again, it's going to give me some icky feelings in my body that I don't really like. And you know, I want to be able to honor those feelings. So that's what we are talking about today is how do we work with our kids and get them to possibly try some different types of food or even just create more of a fun, relaxing mealtime that's not so stressful. Okay, we're going to move on. So we can create positive mealtime interactions without bribery, rewards with other foods, preferred items, or threats or punishment. We want to have our children give us their assent. So assent means that they are agreeing to try new foods. They're agreeing to come and sit at the table. They are agreeing to tolerating a new food being placed next to them. Or maybe it's just something that, they have had in the past, they do not want now because everyone's preferences change with time. With this, we're trying not to, again, threaten, promising. So I want you to think about yourself with those foods that you had mentioned. Would you want someone to promise something really, really fun if you just tried it, even though your body's telling you no? Would you want, the promise of a fun dessert just because you tried this food, again, even though your body is telling you no? So how? How do we make mealtime fun and take off some of the pressure? So I want everybody to think of one goal you might have for mealtime. Again, it could be trying a new food. Maybe it's just sitting at the table. Maybe it's coming to the table when we're being asked. Um, Maybe it is going out into community to eat. All difficult things when you have little kiddos. Eating without distraction, so putting on a TV and getting someone to actually sit there. So, if anybody wants to share a goal, that would be great. Or if you just want to think about them for a moment, go ahead. And then I want you to think about when you choose to try a new food, what helps you make that decision? Again, with honoring your body's agreeance to do it. So, not because someone is forcing you, but what really makes you see on a menu or going to someone's house where they might have different foods that they eat. What makes you decide that you want to do it? Let's see if we have anything in the chat. Okay, I'd like my son to eat at mealtime without his electronic device without melting down. That is a great goal, and I'm sure right now it feels very, very challenging. So we're going to talk about some ways that we can work up to that end goal. You all are an ABA, so you know that we set our terminal goals that, okay, this is the thing that I want. That's a great end goal, but we need to start really small in order to work our way up there so that your child feels that success and reinforcement of being able to engage in these meal times, and then so that you all are as well. If we set our criteria too high, then probably everyone's going to feel that failure and it's going to be very, very challenging and unpleasant. Okay, so we're going to move on and thank you for that. I appreciate it. And we can kind of apply that to what we're going to talk about next. So let's talk about some problems that make meal times more tricky. I think we have one more chat here. Want my son to sit and eat. Yep. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about some things that can impact your children's ability to sit and eat or, to be able to try those new foods. And this will help so when we are facing those mealtime battles, you all can think about, okay, what might be impacting their ability to meet this goal? A lot of times, oral motor. So some foods are harder to eat than others. Think about a carrot. A carrot does not melt in your mouth. It is not easy for your tongue to kind of swish it around and swallow it. I always get mad at my dog because she will take a carrot that I drop. She will go chew it on a carpet. She will not finish the whole thing. It is left in millions of pieces all over the floor. I appreciate her effort of trying to help me clean up, but she never successfully does it. So once I learned more about the fact that, again, a carrot, it's not like a dog treat. It's not melting in her mouth. It's not like dog food. That's why she can swallow those so easily. However, something like a carrot, much more challenging. Certain foods we may see, they make our mouth water, they may turn our stomachs over. So just think about that as well. A lot of eating, we have to have good fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, being able to pick up the fork and or the food, just pinching the food, bringing it to our mouth, self-feeding, using utensils. There are so many different skill sets that go into mealtime. It's not just sitting there and picking up the food and putting it in our mouth. Gross motor, body control, head control, communication, communicating preferences without, well, we talk about it, that throwing food, um, refusing to eat it. Those are ways to communicate preferences, as well as actually ingesting the food, putting it in our body, asking for more. That is showing those preferences. I also need to think about meal times are social times. Those are times where, it is might be the end of the day or the beginning of the day. We want to talk about what's going on, how someone's day went. And then a lot of times, some medical factors impact our ability to eat. This past year, I began having some acid reflux. So now there are some foods that I actively avoid. It took me some time to be able to identify which foods were causing that. But now I know I still sometimes make the mistake and eat the ones and then I pay for it. But, if our kids, if they have a difficult time communicating to us how their bodies are feeling, they might know and they might act in those refusal behaviors. I do not want to eat this again right now. So again, that's why we want to honor that. Nope, my body is telling me not to eat this rather than forcing it. So all the above tricky behaviors common in children with ASD and children just in general, these mealtimes behaviors can create avoidance when it is mealtime, stress for child and stress for the family. So again, we're all faced with these tricky meal times. We want it to be, a pleasant time with each other to catch up or start our day off. These things can impact how it's going to go. Does anybody have any questions right now? Hand or chat is fine. Okay, I think we're good. So, what qualities lead to positive meal times when we think about and sitting down and maybe eating with our spouses or other adults? So, let's take kids out for a minute. Nourishment. So we want foods that make our body feel good, give us energy. Sometimes it's just like we have a certain taste that we need, or we know we love a certain food, and that's what we want because it comforts us. Connection, being able to connect with other people, again, talk about our day, what's going on, and autonomy. So building body awareness. I feel too full right now. I still feel hungry. I don't like this. This is really, really disgusting to me. I never want to eat this again. Or, like I just tried something new. I would like to have it again. Just check the chat. How do we know when to bring food refusal up to children's pediatrician? So we always recommend medical. We want to get checked out first. If you have any reason to believe that there could be something more impacting your child in their refusal to eat, definitely bring it up to the pediatrician. So, as we talked about earlier, there are so many different things that impact our child's ability to eat. If it is a full body control, that's more of an occupational therapy side where they can help with that body control, oral motor, speech therapy, coming to the table and sitting and attending for longer periods, behavioral. But like I said, it can be acid reflux. It can be constipation. There are so many different things that impact our child's ability to eat. So if it is something like acid reflux or constipation, I cannot give you different recommendations for that because that's outside of what I know. I am not a pediatrician. So I always say start off there. So if it is something like that, we can get that addressed, or they can refer you to a gastroenterologist, or if you're not receiving occupational therapy or speech therapy, that we can get those different areas addressed as well. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. Just let me know if it does not. Moving along. So meal times are tricky. Ways to build positive meal times before you begin a meal. So we're thinking about those antecedent behaviors, the antecedent modification. So in the ABC contingency, antecedent behavior consequence. The antecedents come first. How can we set ourselves up for success? So building rapport with meal times. Can we create routines in the morning, afternoon, if your child is home, and the evening? Playing a song to let them know it's about to be mealtime. We're going to make that transition soon. Having kids help set the table. A lot of our kids are working on those daily living skills. um, Being able to identify where items go, one-on-one correspondence, following one-step instructions. So ensuring each person at the table has one utensil. And again, start very, very slow, where maybe your child, we're just helping them go into the kitchen and pick a utensil and bring it to their seat. So they are getting some autonomy with this situation. Pair coming to the table with a fun activity. So I know one person talked about, we have the electronic, the electronics, yes, they will get your child to sit there, but that is where all the focus is on. So can it even be a bubble popper? We have some of those sensory, they're tubes that you can pull out and pull in. Sometimes coloring or a puzzle that everybody can do together. There are different types of utensils as well. Um, Different, maybe your child really likes Minnie Mouse or Frozen or trucks or dinosaurs. Can we get utensils or items with those types of items on it to make it a little bit more exciting for them? Ensure that the transition to mealtime, it's not right after something that is very, very fun and enjoyable, because that will create more avoidance. So I know in my household, I do get into the error of oftentimes having the TV on before I'm transitioning my kids to the dinner table. It is always a meltdown. TV is much more preferred than dinner. However, if I cut the TV off about 10 minutes beforehand, have them do something that's a little bit more novel, and then transition to them to mealtime, and have them, like I said, this is your dinner time too. Let's get something, a utensil. My kid's younger one likes Frozen, so she knows she likes her Frozen plate. Help with that in order to make that transition. And then, can we make sure, what are some things that might impact our kiddos wanting to be at the dinner table? Is it too bright? Is it too noisy? Are there certain smells because we made ourselves a separate dinner that are making them say, I don't want to come here? Again, that's kind of trickier to navigate. Um, but if we can kind of modify some of those things, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit easier for that transition. Can we limit those items that we've been talking about to rebuild the trust with the mealtime? So now we're going to jump to our behavior section. What behaviors are we looking for during mealtime? So think about your goal again. So with those goals, we want to incorporate mealtime mindfulness by talking about how foods taste, smell, feel. So we're getting out of that take a bite, take a bite, take a bite, take a bite. But we're talking about other things about mealtime. Is your food hot or cold? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it brown? Is it squishy? Can you engage with these different, can you smell it? Can you, if it's a broccoli, can you make it into a tree? Can you stick it in like a sticky substance and make it stand up? Notice what behaviors your child engages in to show that they are either accepting what we are presenting or that they're showing refusal, and help them to communicate those. Acceptance looks like having a non-preferred food sitting on a separate plate next to them and our child tolerating that. Whereas refusal might be them throwing it on the floor. And with that, we want to help them communicate that. Okay, like, I see your body does not want this today, if they are shaking their head or pushing the food away. We're going to talk about that consequence size next. So how do we, if they are throwing the food, what do we do about that? So teaching assent, offer choices of food that they might want to try. A lot of the kids, they know what they want. There might even be, a specific type of pizza, a specific type of chicken nugget. Very, very particular. But let's offer choices about what we can pair with those types of foods. Talk about food objectively. Going back to the earlier slide, we're not talking about if it's gross or yucky, but temperature, color, texture, being really curious about it. My food smells really sweet, Or, oh my goodness, I see steam coming off of it. It's really, really hot right now. Or maybe my food cooled down. I need to go put it in the microwave. Very objective. Explore new foods together. Can you watch cooking videos or cook together using real food, pretend food, or Play-Doh? Pretend to be chefs. Pretend that you're making something. What does your child want to make? What do you want to make that you find really preferred? Help model language for your child to hear. This tastes so good. Or, my belly's not really in the mood for this right now. The more we can model what we want for them to see, we're not putting the expectation on them at this point, but we are modeling what we hope to see down the line from them. So consequences of mealtime, we're at the ABC, we're at the third part of our contingency. So again, consequences do not necessarily mean punishment. We are threatening things. Consequence is just what happens after that behavior. So what happens if they do throw something on the food, on the floor? What happens when they do ingest something that is new to them? So remember, reinforcement is anything that increases a behavior in the future, and punishment is anything that decreases a behavior. And I want you to notice, did my interactions with my kid today at mealtime, did it increase the behavior or did it decrease? So when we talk about the increase, I placed the food in front of them. They threw it on the floor. I picked it up. I gave it to them again. They threw it on the floor again. So that's inadvertently reinforcing it because the same thing is happening over and over and over again. Um, so on the flip side, so I started playing with my food. My kids started playing with their food too. They started smelling their food. Eventually, they put a little piece in their mouth. That's reinforcing it as well, but we're getting the increase of those positive behaviors. So based off their interaction at the table, what kind of replacement behaviors do we need to teach? So we're always talking about anytime we want to take a behavior away, such as throwing the food, requiring the iPad at the dinner table, what do we need to pair with it? So it might be exploratory skills, it might be communication, might be emotional regulation, taking some deep breaths, waiting. Again, like just teaching overall curiosity. How do we help our kids to face situations that are new and scary for them? We might not find mealtime scary, but our children might, especially if there's been a lot of stress with it that has happened in the past. So at this point, like I said, we want to take a couple steps back and kind of start from the beginning. It's not where we want to be, but if we can meet those little steps and add some reinforcement, and then we'll get to that end goal. So some other meal times tips: repeat exposure to new foods with different textures of foods, colors, shapes, sizes. So like I said, a lot of times our kids, they want one specific brand. My daughter, she doesn't want to eat different types of rice. She only wants the really sticky rice. That's not always an option. But if that's the only thing I ever give her, chances are that's the only thing that she's going to eventually accept. Reduce your expectations by tackling exploring food and building curiosity first before asking them to try it. So we're starting at the very, very bottom of that totem pole before we're working our way up. Again, I want you all to reach some reinforcement too of today, my kid tolerated this food being across the table from them. They got to the table, they sat for a minute before, they wanted to get up. So we're just making that transition to the table. You can gradually change the appearance, shape, size of foods. For instance, if your child only eats red apples, you can slowly change how you cut the apple, the color of the apple, maybe add different dips for the apple. Your end goal is honoring that your child feels safe in where they are right now in order to build that future trust with food and with meal times. Again, think about every single thing that goes into enjoying meals, all the different behaviors that are required, the prerequisite skills, the communication skills, the trust of one's body. We don't always know what's going on with our kids as much as we try, as much as we think we know them. We're trying to teach them how to communicate, how they are feeling, what they want to do, what they don't want to do. So even if you are working on just those communication skills or noticing what is their body language telling me, that is a step in the right direction. I believe that that is the last line, but I am happy to answer any questions. As I said, if you will leave your email in the chat, I can also send you this PowerPoint as well. And I did get the majority of this information from a presentation that I did. Um, and it's from a woman, and her book is called Meaningful Mealtimes. So if anyone wants to check that out, there's a lot of good resources in there as well.